Hello everyone, this is John35 doing another review of Transformers toys. This is not a G1 toy, although it's not far off the age. This is actually a G2 Transformer. He is complete other than obviously his boxing and instructions and that. As with all G2s, he's garishly coloured, and you can see as he's a missile type or rocket transport. Bright pink and blue for whatever reason, I don't know, with green missiles. Now all of the like G2 Stalker Decepticons have these sort of missiles, and they peg on. I've got the other one here. They peg on all over the place on the figure, a little bit like Minicons do on the Armada lines. They also are actually firing missiles, and they go into the gold plastic gun. I'll actually put my hand there because these really do fire well. They're not at all like the early G1 missiles, what just sort of fall out the end of the launchers. These could probably get your eye out, so I don't know how they got away with that. This, as I say, this is Stalker, the actual figure name, but they later reissued this figure in a different colour scheme for the Machine Wars line of Transformers, and he was classed as Soundwave, which obviously is a reissue sort of name of the early G1 cassette player. As you can see, he's got a radar dish on the back there. You can mount his gun on the back treads there, and obviously he came with his missile. Now I'll go into the missile a little bit more later, but you can detach that, and I shall get on with the transformation. I'll take the gun off as well. Now he's quite a compact figure and not a lot of actual robot kibble. You can see a little bit of fists sort of showing on the back there, but nothing outwardly. Quite a reasonable tank mode. To transform him, you need to lift this launcher part back, and then on the back, he's actually an older figure, is quite well hidden. You've got two flaps you need to open, which hide the upper part of the legs, and then you flip these parts round, so the front of the tank or launcher mode, whatever you want to call it, and then they obviously form the legs, and you spin him at his waist, and that's his lower half done. And then with the upper half, what I tend to do is turn this rear tread section like that, and that reveals his arms. It makes it a little bit easier to actually get his arms out, so you have to flip it, both of them down like that, and then you can flip these pink bits out and then revolve the whole assembly, so to speak, round and down, and there you go. That's where his holes there for the peg for the weapons for his fists. And then you take the launcher part, flip it right round, and that clicks into position, and then you just got to struggle, and I do say struggle because it is very hard to get his head to come out the top. You just have to catch it just right with your nail, and that clicks into position. And I'll just lift the camera slightly so you can see him there, he stood up, and that is Stalker. Oh, and of course you can fold the panels back on the back of the legs there, just to neaten up his legs. And again, obviously there's a little bit of vehicle kibble with the dummy tracks and that, but not a bad figure. Articulation, you've got knee, and obviously you can swivel at the hip, but with the arms you can only really turn the whole thing round like that, and obviously he's got a little tiny bit of sideways movement at the fist, at the elbow, but not in the conventional sense at the elbow to turn it up, but that's a little bit of a shame. That's about it in his robot form. I mean, obviously you can hold his blaster in his hand to fire his missiles, and you can mount the missile a little bit like the G1 Soundwave, where you had a rocket launcher on your shoulder, and you can mount that on the top. But there is a gimmick with these G2 Stalker figures, that, and if I line it up correctly, that his missile was a type of sight. Now if I bring that up there, you can see just in there, that's like a technical readout, like an aiming sort of thing, and it's of Rotor Storm, another G1, but is a G2, sorry, Autobot helicopter. So it's almost like he's targeting him and aiming. You can open the top of the missile, and you can, on this side, this is the actual section what's got the technical sort of readout of the helicopter mode of Rotor Storm, I believe it is, and you can flip that down. Now if you get another one of the Stalker figures, you can actually, and I've got another one here to hand, his name's Falcon, Stealth Fighter. I'll do a review on him another time. And they all came with a flip down piece at the back, and you could flip down another clear readout, and obviously you could then plug that in to the missile, and then you could look and obviously target a different adversary. It's an unusual little sort of gimmick, but I suppose it works to a degree. It gives a different sort of, slightly different sort of play value, but it's not a bad sort of little figure, and it's got obviously some a type of light piping to help bring the light down into it, with the yellow piece of almost like fibre optic plastic in the end there. But as I say, it's an unusual Transformer. I don't really remember the G2s that well, because I was more G1 orientated, and they came out a little bit after I'd sort of gone out of the Transformer sort of collecting phase of my youth, and then of course I've come back at it sort of big sort of time as I've got a bit older. It's not a bad Transformer. Obviously you do have to watch with gold plastic, which is a famous G2 problem, where it gets brittle and cracks and breaks. But fortunately, mainly on Stalker, it's gold paint rather than plastic itself. They do, if I can find a torch to hand, they do all have, hold on a second, I have to wind it up. They do all have great light piping. You can see that they all had very sort of good fibre optic sort of plastic, so that it showed up, which obviously is another sort of thing what's followed through into the newer figures and that. But it's a figure I'd recommend. You can pick him up quite reasonably. The missiles are a thing, and the gun, which is a little bit harder to find, but luckily this one came complete. And as I say, obviously if you're collecting the G2 figure and it's got gold plastic, beware that it isn't too crazed and brittle and broken. I've actually got the Skyquake figure, and he has sort of started to suffer a little bit with gold plastic syndrome on his rear sort of sight come engine part, but I shall probably do a review on him at a later date as well and go into it then. As I say, you could actually, if I quickly transform him back to his vehicle mode, you can actually, let's get this done quick, you have to excuse me a moment. You can, as I say, mount Falcon or any of the other jets onto Stalker. I'll get the name right, I'm not so familiar with these figures, so you have to excuse me on that. You can actually mount them, as I say, onto the missile, And it was the same with Skyquake. You could mount the jets onto him as well, onto that rear gun sight type part. It's a little bit difficult. I should just try and get him plugged in. See, as you plug in, the clear bit of plastic is sort of pushed round by that part. I wonder if I can actually might be able to aim it into the camera properly. And as you can see, there you go, you've got a different image. Now I'm not sure which transformer that is in there at the moment, but again, then you get another feature that you've got another different picture to aim with, as though you're attacking an Autobot. A little bit weird on the missile version. It looks a little bit more in proportion, and looks a little bit better on Skyquake than it does on Stalker. But it's another little feature, like I say. At least that's something a little bit unique to these figures that they've never repeated or shown on any other sort of lines of the Transformers. I'm not sure if they brought these jets out with the Machine Wars ones to actually reuse that gimmick. I'd have to look into that. But I hope you've enjoyed that review. And you got a little sort of glimpse at Falcon as well there. He also would have come with exactly the same gun. I haven't got that for him, but at least he has got his missiles. But I'll use Stalker's one for his review, so you can at least see him how he would be complete. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that review. Please rate and subscribe if you're interested, and I shall see you again. Thanks very much for watching.